Yes lads, first podium, get in there. Let's do some racing, boys. Okay guys, today we're going to do something a little bit different. I'm still not feeling great, so rather than go out there and stress myself fighting people on track, I might do a wee race later on. But for the time being, I'm going to put out this video just now. I figured I would go ahead and do something like, I'm going to show you how I make a setup. Probably won't interest everyone, but I've been told that I've got a very different way of setting up a setup. So I thought that might be something that you guys would be interested in. So I figured we'll go ahead and get into it. We'll start with a car. Just go into straight single player. Maybe. I guess we just stick with the Aston. Silverstone, I think, is where the LFM is at the moment. Hang on, let me get into the actual track and we'll get started from there, because I just remembered it'll take a little bit of time to get past the load screen. I'll get right back with you. Alright guys, it is Silverstone. I know I said I'd meet you on track, but I thought I'd show you this real quick. So when I'm doing a setup, I just do simple practice, pick the track that I want, go into the weather conditions. If you want to set up for wet weather or whatever, you can choose down the side. Just go to do for clear weather just now, or actually custom weather. Make the track temperature or the ambient temperature 23. With a bit of cloud cover, just as a randomised thing, and make the track optimal. That way when you go into session, that is what you're looking at. So we'll come back in a minute again. Okay lads, now that we're in the actual track, you can see the ambient temperature is 23 and they keep the track temperature the same. If we go straight into setup, you have a safe setup and aggressive setup, or you can put in your own custom setup or a wet setup. You all know this. Most people start on the aggressive setup and just modify it. I prefer to start on the safe setup. This was a concept that Aries, I don't know if you know who he is, he's one of the developers for Kunos, had suggested why not start on the safe setup and work your way up from there, because the safe setup is more balanced, it's more steady, it goes over curbs a lot easier to start with, if the car can handle curbs. The problem with the safe setup is it's slower and oversteers, but slower and oversteers is something that you can take out quite easily. So what I tend to do is I go into the aggressive setup for this purpose only. I'll get a quick idea of the electronics, what they're running at, and then I'll have a look at the aero and see what the aero is running at, because it is a bit more aggressive and I know I can handle that. That way when I go into, I'll generally take a wee picture of my phone and then I'll go into the safe setup, and the tyre temperatures are about the same, but the electronics are different, as you can see, and the aero may be about the same, but some tracks are completely different and some tracks are basically the same. So it's just a case of checking to make sure, and that way you're kind of starting off with your speed not as impacted as you originally thought. Okay, so I already have taken some pictures on my phone, just so I can set this up the way we would like to. So go across to the electronics. On this, the safe setup is 5, 6 and 5 with ECU map of 1. We're going to change that to the aggressive setup, which is 2, 4 and 2. We can change all these at a later time. Now the TC2 I like to have a little bit higher anyway, so eventually that will get changed up. And then on the aero, get the aero picture up now. Right, so on the aero, we might be the same actually. So on the safe setup it's 73, but on the aggressive it's 74, so we'll go 74. And on the front it's 55. Brake ducts 4 and 4 is what we'll keep. Then I'll go ahead and I will save this as a temp period. Save it. That way I've always got my previous work in a file, and then we'll go back and basically go out and drive. As you guys will know, I forgot to turn my steering wheel on. Son of a. Right, I'll be back.
Track temp is 24. The air temp is 23 Celsius.
Be quiet, you silly bugger. Right, I will be right back, lads. I forgot to turn the steering wheel on. I'll get you back to this point. Okay, and we're back. As I say, guys, I'm not feeling 100% compass mentis today, but we'll get this done. I wanted to make sure I got you guys a video to watch, because I have been absent for the last couple of days. We're just going to load the setup that we saved, the temp one. And then we're going to go out for a drive. And see exactly what is going on. Wrong button. Wrong screen.
It takes it, looks clear.
There we go. So I don't know, the guys on the PS probably wouldn't know, but on the PC you're going to be running probably 4 or 5 laps to get your tyres up to temperature. As you're running these laps, you have to be careful that you don't destroy your tyres, because you're going from a set pressure and PSI, the temperature. You don't want to destroy your tyres on the start up to the lap. Lock-ups and things are a lot more aggressive on PC. You can burst tyres quite easily. So we just do some laps, some oversteer, understeer. You can hear it sliding. But we don't have tyres up to temperature. It feels very slidey at the moment because the tyre pressures are not great. I'm just slipping up a gear by no reason. Again, oversteer. Or understeer. Oh jeez. Get these words correct yet. Slight amount of oversteer going out the corners. But again, we don't change any of that until we've got the tyres where we want them. Tyres are very important because a cold tyre can produce all these problems, whereas a warm tyre might not. And a tyre that's at the right pressure. So first job is to go around making sure that these pressures are good. And also try not to attack the track too heavily. At the moment I've never used this car on this track either, so I'm just having a quick check on where the gears should be at. That's one lap, the tyres will start to come up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a couple of laps and then come back and we will have a conversation about how to make sure you got your tyres in the right place. I'll show you what it is when we get to lap 5, for instance. Right guys, so we're coming round to start lap 4. As I said, it takes a few laps to get the tyres up to where you want them. As you can see, the tyres have changed, they're not changed a whole lot. Left hand side tyres are in 27s-ish and the other ones are in 26s. But it gives you an idea of what you have to do in order to get your tyres up. We know that the tyres are still not great. They're all over the place, to be honest. So we need to adjust them to make them work. That way we can have a slightly better feel to the car, better traction because the tyres are in the right window. My window, I like to have them at 27.7. 27.5 is fine as well. It's just a personal preference that I like them at 27.7. Just going to finish this lap up, hopefully without invalidating, because it is a very oversteery car at the moment. And understeery in the small first gear corners, it will get a bit twitchy in the back end. And you've got to fight the steering wheel just to keep it going. So these are all things that we will eventually take out. The tyre temperatures are not helping. They should alleviate a lot of those problems. But if I can get a lap in this time, then what it means is I've got a benchmark. Because at the moment there's a lot of fighting going on with the car. It's not anywhere near where you would like to try and drive it. It's a handful. Coming up to the last part of the lap. Yeah, I want to be able to get my foot down there, but it wants to kick out. If I'm in a higher gear, it wants to oversteer or understeer. So at the moment we're just kind of muddling through. 207.
207.12. That's your best lap in the session.
So go back into setups. And go back to the current setup. All we're going to do is readjust the tyre temperatures or tyre pressures to make sure that we are in the right window. Also, I want to leave that the way it is actually at the moment. I'll just get the tyres working for now and then head back out on track and do another 5 laps. So I won't bore you guys with another 4 or 5 laps. I'll get you back in at the end of the end of the last lap. So this is the second lap, and just already by having the tyre pressures in a better window, we're taking a bit of time off the lap times. Tyres are gripping a little bit better, we're getting more traction, and it's just by having the tyres in a better window all round. I know I said I would wait until we got to the end, but I'm decided to let you guys quick look. Oh! See, the oversteer's still a murderer. Understeer.
Now delete this lap, track limits.
Come back at the start of the next lap, but at the beginning of the last lap. So just to let you see that just fixing those tyres can make such a difference on your time. Alright guys, coming up to the latter part of the laps. The tyres are pretty much wet in the window that they're going to be in. As you can see, it's between 27.7 and 27.6 in the back. Do a quick lap once again, find out how the car feels, because that's right around where I would like to have my tyre pressures anyway. As we can see, it turns in a little easier. Still have to slow down more than I would like to, but you get the turn in you want. Still being a bit careful, because the car's not perfect. It's still a handful. Still some oversteer, it's not. Still some understeer, sorry, it's not really bad as it was to begin with, but definitely it's still there. Try and push through a corner, it's definitely worse like that, so this is another invalid lap.
You've gone outside.
Not worried about invalid laps at the moment. What I'm worried about is getting the turn in I want, and then once I'm turned in, the stability on the back end to be able to hold the car and accelerate out the corner. So I don't know if you guys can hear it as much. I can feel it in the wheel every time that the car oversteers. For certain corners I'm just not comfortable to power through at the moment. But when it comes to the tyres, we've managed to help out with a lot of the the understeer. Oh, there's the oversteer. So we need to work on oversteer and understeer. That's a big one. So, tell you what, let's just pull over here and we'll address those problems.
Yellow
Now
flag.
we don't have to do as many laps. We know the tyres are round about where they should be. We still have to do a lap or 2 or 3 just to bring the tyres up into the specified window. So what I want to do is try and help the oversteer a little bit. They bring that up to about 6 and that to about 3. And then I'm just going to go somewhere at all. Probably FRL British 1. Sort of manoeuvre. I have a diagram, guys, on this side of the screen which you can't see, but what I will do is I will put a link to it, and it's what I basically use for my adjustments. So I'm going to go back to tyres real quick. I want to adjust the camber, because if I get more grip on the camber, then I can actually, it won't slide as much. I feel it's sliding in the oversteer. So just going to reduce that closer to 0, which means there's more traction with the road. Just go to 3.4 for now. What that also does is will help with that means inside, middle and outside, that's your tyre temperatures. You want them to be as close as possible with no more than about 5 or 6 difference. So I mean, we are quite close anyway, but if you bring it in a bit flatter, you get more traction on the front tyres. Same with the back. Take that down to about 2.8 on either side. Still want to do a bit more front, so we'll go for the dampers. And we're going to, the more you increase your front dampers, the more turning you have regardless. So we want to increase that by about 4 maybe. You want to increase your bump and your rebound. Just match them for now. I'll leave the back ones, but if we have a bit more oversteer on the back, we can take the back ones out some. So I'll move these now. We'll go out and have a quick run around the track and see what that has helped. Actually, what I also want to do is your caster. So if you increase your caster, it also helps with turning, I find. So if we take that from 11 up to 12, and then we're going to save this as temp 2. Always make sure that you save it as a different number, because you shouldn't, as you get more used to doing setups, you'll change things a lot higher and a lot more than you usually would, but when you're first starting out, try not to change too much too often. It's a bad habit to get into, although I'm doing it. So then what we're going to do is go back out on track and get another couple of laps in. So I will get you back to see me when we get 2 laps in or 3 laps in.
Incident clear, green flag.
Right, so we're starting the next lap. This will be last lap before we go in again. While we were going, I did make a change or two because I went the wrong way on the caster. It's my fault. I'll show you what I've done with the caster, and then I've reduced the brake bias from, I think it was 64 to 61. Still suffering from a bit of oversteer, but I can push the car a little bit harder. Understeer. The oversteer's actually a lot better now. So that's a good thing. See, I can turn in and I can accelerate out even though it's not perfect, and I'm not fighting the steering wheel as much, so it's more of a smooth action. The more smooth you can get that action, the better you will find it is to drive easier. And now that I've got the back end attached,
The track temperature is rising. It's now 26 Celsius.
can actually accelerate out the corner a little earlier as well, which helps with time.
Sector 2 time is okay.
Obviously you're going to want to increase all these benefits more. You want to be able to go on a throttle a little earlier again, you want to be able to get more turn in, you want to have a stabler car. These are all things that you just have to work through on your setup, and when you've worked it through you do better. But just the little changes that I've made, and there's a nice wee upgrade of 2 seconds and I managed to keep it on the track.
That last lap was a 2:05.00. Sector 3 time is quick.
So that's a 2:04 just from making some small changes. Here's the changes that I made. Caster had gone the wrong way. I wanted to go more to negative, so I took it to the very bottom from what we started to 11.3. I took it down to 5 that way, 6. Didn't change any electronics, but the mechanical grip, I've changed the brake bias. I'm going to take that all the way down to 61 itself. And we'll save that back as 1 because that was the original way we were supposed to have it. So on the exit, I'm still struggling with a bit of oversteer. So what we can do there is take one off of the anti-roll bar in the front, and that should help with coming through the corners. And then the lower the preload, the more turning you'll get. Is it? Am I thinking of something else? Give me 2 seconds, guys. So when you decrease the preload, you stop your. It causes less turning. The higher the preload, the better the turning. So if we increase the preload for the slow corners to 80, say, it's going to make the back end a little bit more twitchy, but we can deal with that in the dampers and on the rear wheel rate, bump stop rate and range. Also, you can change the ride height. The higher the ride height you go, the less downforce you have, the more speed you'll have, and vice versa. The more downforce you have with the lower number, the less speed you'll get. So just with that little change, let's go back out. I don't think there's anything else I want to change. I'll leave it like that for now. Actually, I changed the ratio down to 14. I like a tighter ratio. But if we go back out, and we'll see what results this bring.
6 clear.
A lot of doing your setup is make sure, I mean obviously first off you have to get the right balance of what you're trying to change for the way you want the car to feel. After that, what you need is stability in the car, I would say, and the ability to be consistent at your speeds. But we'll come back at the end of the 4 or 5 laps again, and we'll see what we can do at that point. Alright lads, so we're just coming up to having done some more laps. Feels a lot nicer. It will actually turn in, I'll show you what I mean. I'm starting to feel like I might be able to get through that corner in 4th now with a bit more speed. But we'll check that out in a little bit. Possibly 5th for that as well. Just at this point what you're doing is having a quick feel around, seeing what you think you can get away with. That's what practice is all about, make the setup. The more you can allow the car to get away with, the better.
Sector 1 time is good.
As you can see, the turn-in's better now. There's not a lot of oversteer. There is still oversteer there, so we'll have to go in and give that a wee tweak. But I mean, from where we started, which was 2 minutes and 7, just going round and getting the tyres fixed, a couple of little tweaks here and there, we've gained a fair bit. What's that? 207 to 205, 2 seconds that we've gained just there. I'm not taking the right lines at the moment. I don't know. I've got to talk to you guys and I get very unfocused. But yeah, I mean, we're still up on our time. So at the end of this lap, we'll come in. And you guys will see what looks like a bit of oversteer or understeer. When you're driving your car yourself, you'll learn to realise what is you causing that understeer and oversteer.
205.00. Sector 3 time is fast.
You get to the feeling, okay, I went into that corner too fast, that caused me to oversteer, or I got on the power too early, that caused me to get the back end out, understeer, oversteer. I've got understeer and backwards with oversteer all day, haven't I? So, last time in here, for now anyway, and then what we'll do is I'll just do 4 or 5 laps to show you what the differences I've made. So if we go into dampers again, because we're going to look at the exit oversteer. So in the slower corners when it's exit oversteer, if it's wheel spin, I would deal with like say your camber and things. That's what I deal with. When it's mid corner, I would rather deal with the dampers or the mechanical grip. I've not touched any of the mechanical grip because I find the car's quite stable, and when you start messing with that as well, it unstables the car some. But what we want to do is, if we decrease the bump by a few, we go 5 for each. Okay, that should take out some of the back end oversteer, and then just go back out and we'll finish up by doing a couple of laps, maybe take it up to 18 to 20 laps, just so you guys can get an idea of
clear. Don't
how
cross the white line.
May look from when it first started. I think you could agree that it's definitely improved everything. It might not be something that you guys would like. You might not like the way I've got this car set up. You may not enjoy the way the car's set up. But it's fine tuning. What you can do is take a setup and you can actually fine tune it to what you want by changing all the things that we've changed there. If you think that you're getting too much turn into the corner, which is causing too much oversteer, then you can change that. Right, so try and get the tyre temperatures up. Tyre pressures up. James will be turning his bed if I keep on saying temperatures instead of pressures. So we're going into our first hot lap. We know the tyres are not fully optimum yet, but within the next lap or two they will be. We're using this opportunity to find out how much we can push on the course and how much time we might be able to get. So now I can get through that corner in fourth gear where before I wouldn't even have attempted it. We can take that in fifth, which I wouldn't have attempted before. So now we're actually really starting to push. And it's only the second lap out after making some more changes.
Sector 1 time's okay.
Don't want to hit that sausage. There's some corners, even no matter how much I tweak it, I always have that little bit of oversteer, like that one just back there. I'll let that get too high, I should have been in fifth. So the corners you have still some oversteer. I'll probably would go in and tweak my caster a little bit more. It's all about feeling safe when you're going through the corners to start with. Once you get the car in the range that you want it to be in, where you're not fighting the car too much, then you can start pushing through the corners even more. That's me down to a 203 now.
That lap time was 2:03.41. Good lap. That's your quickest today.
So, all in all, I would say that the tweaks we've made have made a difference. Now it's just a case of going through the corners, finding what might be your fastest way of going through the course, tweaking little bits here and there, little fine tunes. Now you'll probably notice that the tyre temperatures have gone up a little bit because the track temperatures have gone up. Also, you'll notice when you can push a little bit harder, that will also cause your tyres to heat up a little bit. Same as going from practice fuel. I generally run around the track with about 60 litres of fuel. But if you try and use the same setup for qualifying, which is, let's say, 20 litres of fuel, you will notice a difference in your tyre temperatures and pressures. Also, when you go into a situation where you use a full fuel, your race fuel, you're going to notice that the temperatures are changing as well, and the pressures. These are all relevant to your times. That's why I try to look at it as
50, slower than your best.
I try to look at the green app down the bottom as a window. You can have different. You can use it as a window, because what you're wanting to make sure is that you don't go below a certain temperature. So you don't want to be up at 30.0. You're blowing your tire, you're ballooning your tyres at that point. I'd say 27.7 would be probably where you want to be your max at. And you can probably get away with 24.3 on the other end. So anywhere between 27.3 and 27.7, you should be able to get decent times. Once you start going out of those ranges, then you start having problems. So I'm completely unfocused at the moment. What I'm going to do is, for the next couple of laps, I'm just going to try and focus more, stop talking, and see if we can get this time down a bit more.
Sector 1 is 1.2, off your best. Sector 2 is 0.9, slower than your best. Just done a 205.08, sector 3 times okay. Sector 1 is 0.6, off your best. Sector 2 is 0.32, off your best.
there's a lot of time to be found in this. Do one more lap.
203.60. Sector 3 times okay.
Now we won't do one more lap. Anyway.
Yellow flag, sector 2.
If we think about where we started, which was a 210, then a 27, 27, 27, 26, 25, 24, 24, 26, 24, 23. It's going down in the right direction. And that's basically what you like to do with your setup. So when I upload this video, I'll upload the setup cheat sheet that I use. As I say, your way of doing it might be different from mine. This was just a wee video to show you how I actually do my setups. I'm not the best at it, but I can get by, and I'm learning on new things all the time. But it was nice to see you guys again. I'm sorry I've not been uploading the last couple of days, but we should be getting back to it over the next few days. Thank you very much.